Welcome back, everyone. We'll be talking about the last topic in this module, which is ensure knowledge transfer for project continuity. The enablers for these topics are to maintain team and knowledge transfer, to discuss project responsibilities within team, to outline expectations for working environments, to confirm approach for knowledge transfers. There are no specific deliverables or tools for this topic because it's not specific to a certain body of knowledge, but it comes across all body of knowledge and all knowledge areas for project management. So you transfer knowledge based on the activity or based on the phase or based on the process you're working with, even on the plan you're working with. Then you use the relevant tools and techniques for those knowledge areas to obtain more, to analyze, to obtain more information, and also to process and monitor. So in terms of talking about knowledge transfer in the project, we need to actually define the two types of knowledge we have. We have the explicit knowledge, which is knowledge that can be codified using symbols, using words, using numbers and pictures. Examples are writing your knowledge in terms of a book that you have to read, because now you have the knowledge transferred to you. There are those words, numbers, and pictures, so you're able to gather knowledge from that written form of knowledge transfer. This is a type of knowledge that can be documented and shared with others. And you have the second one, which is a tacit knowledge, which, as opposed to formal and codified or explicit knowledge, what we had talked earlier, is the knowledge that is difficult to express or extract, and thus more difficult to transfer to others by means of writing it down or verbalizing it. It can include personal wisdom, experience, insight, and intuition. So they are difficult to articulate and share. You can have beliefs, experience, and insights as part of the tacit knowledge body. This type of knowledge is essential to provide the context of the explicit knowledge. So if you have documented or written down explicit knowledge, you also need the tacit knowledge, someone with the tacit knowledge to give you better perspective on those explicit knowledge. When you're talking about knowledge transfer, we talk about how do you manage the actual project knowledge during project labs, okay? So we'll talk about knowledge management on the three levels of a project: on the individual level, on the project level, and the organization level. On the individual level, each team member needs to know how to perform their work in accordance to their assigned task scope, schedule, and cost. Required knowledge can be acquired through research, through collaboration with team members, through examining the project's or organization's knowledge repository. Also, it can be trained on them based on their job description we have. Then on the project level, the focus is on achieving the goal of the current project. The project manager solicits knowledge about the project that can be applied to the current project. The project manager of my project management office, which is the PMO, is an excellent source of knowledge, as it exists for the purpose of defining and maintaining standard for the project management within the organization. So you have your PMO containing the repository of lessons learned, and also updated project artifacts even for the project or past projects. It's always a go-to place for you that has a good repository to define and maintain standards of project management within an organization that's going to operate or organize or initiate projects. And in terms of knowledge management in organization, the focus is to manage programs or portfolio more than just a single project. The program or portfolio manager seeks information from peers who manage other projects or portfolio in an effort to adapt this knowledge to their specific needs. So you get input knowledge from other project managers under your program and portfolio, in an effort to adapt this knowledge to your specific needs and reporting to other stakeholders, and also for strategic decision making. So we've talked about lessons learned in previous topic, but we'll talk about it again because it deals with knowledge transfer. Knowledge gained during the project can be useful for subsequent phases of the projects and other projects. So, you can have iterations of, you can have iterations and sprints, and also you can have phases of projects having similar activity, but not the same activity, but similar activity was specific to that phase. So if you gain knowledge from a similar activity on a project, you might as well apply that knowledge you have in terms of how you did a workaround on an issue, or how you had a mitigating factor, a risk response to a similar risk you just encountered. So you can use that even for subsequent phases of your project, and even have it documented for future use on other projects. Both positive and negative experiences that occur through the project life cycle should be documented as lessons learned. Reinventing the wheel is both time consuming and costly, so you might as well get the best of knowledge you can get from the lessons learned register and utilize them for specific or similar events happening in your projects. The amount of time and effort of documented lessons learned can pay big dividends in the future, because it saves you that rigorous circle of doing the wrong thing the wrong way over and over again. So even though it's at the present time of you documenting those lessons learned, it's taking time, it's taking effort, just see it's an investment for you to avoid making the same mistakes or errors on future projects. So it's the investment pays off on a future project. So do you enjoy dividends in the future for using those lessons learned that you documented on these projects? What are the considerations for lessons learned? You look at your schedule. You have to have a schedule and lessons learned, your conflict management lessons learned, your vendor lessons learned, your customer lessons learned, your strategic lessons learned, the tactical lessons learned, another aspect of lessons learned that cuts across the project. So if you have lessons based on activities, based on processes, based on strategy, based on plan definition and management, on different knowledge of project management areas, and also in terms of your interaction with stakeholders. Whatever lessons you learn during that process of executing that activity or that process, you make sure you document them and serve as a purpose for you utilizing them for almost similar activity under similar knowledge, project knowledge areas. I've been talking about documenting lessons learned. So the project artifact you use for documenting lessons learned is the lessons learned register. It's a project document used to record knowledge gained during the project that can be used in the current project and entered into lessons learned repository, which can be used for future projects. The lessons learned repository is a store of historical information about lessons learned in projects, not just one project. So you have your lessons learned register specific to one project. Then you have your lessons learned repository that is defined across different projects. What are the project responsibilities within the team? The team is responsible for basically these broad areas of responsibilities, being leadership, facilitation, political awareness, and networking. Leadership needs to communicate that the organization's vision and inspire the project team to focus on the goal of the project. So the project manager is expected to have a leadership skill in order to communicate the organization's vision to your project team and inspire the project team to focus on the goals of the project by personalizing the deliverables of the project, making it their own, using interfacing the customers' needs and requirements and the benefits and the value of the project to your project team. Facilitation is also used to effectively guide a group to a successful solution to a project. Once you have an issue or an event or a risk or the need to actually apply strategies, you can actually have a group of people come together to successfully find a solution to that problem or to that innovation you want to do in terms of implementing for user story or implementing for a process or strategy for your projects. Political awareness to keep the project manager aware of the organization's political environment. As a project manager, you need to be aware of both your projects and the originating organization's status in terms of what is happening in the political environment for the organization, and because you're aware that in one way or the other, the organization's political environment affects your project in terms of your stakeholders register, in terms of your stakeholders engagement, in terms of decisions by upper management to continue or to close the project. You have to be aware and you have to be involved in that political environment. You have to also be networking to facilitate relations among project stakeholders so that knowledge is shared at all levels. Using this skill as a project manager helps you get closer to project stakeholders in order to facilitate ease of knowledge sharing across all levels. So you're able to get knowledge from different stakeholders, from different body of the project. You can have a good relationship during networking with the customer, which is the end user. You can also have good relationship with your high management stakeholders. You can have a good relationship with your vendors and sellers, so you be able to share the knowledge of those areas, their requirements or their status, and you have an ease of flow of knowledge from those stakeholders to you as a project manager, which relates across all levels of your projects. What are the working environment expectations for the project in terms of knowledge transfer? Knowledge is not constant. What we knew yesterday can change based on what you did today. In as much as you've carried out an activity on the project, it becomes a tactic knowledge in terms of the processes for that activity. So in a way, you have learned, in a way, you have increased your knowledge on the activity based on the action that you carried out during those activities today. So knowledge is not constant. What you knew yesterday before doing the activity has changed based on what you just did today. Continuously evaluate the project environment for new risks and follow the risk management plan to proactively address them before they become issues that will affect your project objectives. Don't hoard knowledge. Follow the communications management plan and inform all stakeholders of changes affecting their work. Always be good. It's always good. The reason why your communications management plan was made was to you've understood the requirements of the stakeholders. You've understood and the need for communication of the stakeholders. You've actually understood the nature and frequency they want information from you, being a project manager. So don't hoard information and knowledge when you have them. Share them to the respective stakeholders. In a way, especially in situations whereby that knowledge or that information is affecting their work. Use appropriate tools to share knowledge with stakeholders. You can use face-to-face during formal meeting. You can use face-to-face during informal meetings and discussions. You can use telephone, emails. You can use intranet, extranet, printed documents. You can use your push or pull communication system, but always be specific to the requirements of the stakeholders in your stakeholders engagement meetings. So your communication of that body of knowledge is well defined, is well communicated through a channel that suits the stakeholders effectively. Then we'll talk about the knowledge transfer approach. Knowledge transfer consists of connecting individuals in person or virtual to share tactic knowledge and collaborate together. You use different techniques for knowledge transfer. You can use networking, You can use facilitating special interest group. You can use networking, whereby you can bring different group of people together who have a common knowledge in terms of a specific area. So you have a better knowledge transfer among yourself, and also even getting information and new knowledge about emerging technology within that area. You can facilitate special interest group that discuss or share knowledge or transfer knowledge around this a subject topic in terms of your project. You can have meetings, seminars, and various other types of in-person or virtual events that encourage people to interact and exchange ideas and knowledge. These group of interaction should be facilitated for ease of communicating ideas or transfer of knowledge across board. You should also do training that involves interactions between attendees. Work shadowing and reverse shadowing provides a more individualized method of exchanging specialized knowledge. That talks about the tactic knowledge approach, where you have somebody working in your shadows, where you have somebody just being like an assistant to you, like an intern to you, that just follows through everything you do. In a way, the person catches up via the experience they're having as shadowing you on that project or shadowing you on that process or activity. So they have more individualized method. They are really connected to what they are learning in terms of the knowledge they are gaining, and in terms of exchange of specialized information from the person being shadowed and the person shadowing. And that can also reverse and be a very good intimate exchange technique for transferring knowledge. How do you maintain team knowledge transfer for your projects? So the following are guidelines are proposed for use of maintaining team and knowledge transfer. If your organization has a PMO, as a project management office, follow its guidelines on documenting new knowledge. Be alert to new sources of project knowledge and follow the communications management plan to convey those knowledge to stakeholders, like I emphasized earlier. Proactively seek knowledge. Knowledge brings in the requirements. Knowledge brings in definition of risk. Knowledge brings about workarounds to issues. So be proactive to seek new knowledge in your project. Compile a lessons learned register throughout the project lifecycle and add it to your lessons learned repository with registers from other projects. Like I said, it's a project artifact that is a living document throughout your project lifecycle based on the activity you're doing and specific to the project management knowledge areas you're dealing with at that phase or at that stage of the project. So compile lessons learned throughout the project lifecycle and make sure you add your lessons learned register to the lessons learned repository at the end of the project. So you now have a library of knowledge where you can actually just access when you need to start a new project and learn from before commencing. Thank you for listening with me and going with me throughout this topic for this module. We would like to go over the activity of this topic so we can be sure and actually just task ourselves on the grasp we have for this topic. So the scenario is the 234 West Adams project is only one of many low-income building projects that you will manage through during the next several years. During the project, you and your project team will learn as you go with the intent of using this knowledge to improve the next project and so on for all future projects. So first question is, when should transfer of knowledge take place? One, should it be at the end of the project? Two, should it be at the end of each phase of the project? Three, should it be when the lessons learned register is archived? Or the last part, which is throughout the project? Pause, answer, and play. All the first three questions are actually right, but the best answer is the last because it actually happens throughout the project life cycle. As I explained, your lessons learned register is a living document, so it can occur at the beginning of the project, it can occur at the end of the project, it can occur at the end of each phase of the project, and when you're actually ending your project in terms of archiving your lessons learned register. So since it's a living document, it takes place throughout the project lifecycle. So the best answer is the last one. Question 2. What are examples of tacit knowledge? 1. Belief, experience, and insights. 2. Words, numbers, and pictures. 3. Anything of value to another person. 4. Any knowledge about the project scope, schedule, and budget. Pause, answer, and play. If you listen carefully during the explanation of explicit and tacit knowledge, you understand that the best response are beliefs, experience, and insights. They are knowledge that cannot be documented in terms of symbols and words. So you do those, you explain based on experience, beliefs, and insights. Those are tacit knowledge. Question 3. Management of project knowledge exists on 3 levels. What are they? 1. Tactical, administrative, and procedural. 2. Individual projects and organization. 3. Scope, schedule, and budget. 4. Practical, theoretical, and actual. If you pay close attention, you'll be able to answer this easily. So the answer is individual, project, and organization. I think we had a good discussion on that management of project knowledge across those 3 levels. Question 4. When is the lessons learned register created? First option is at the conclusion of the project, after all tasks have been completed. Option 2 is after the completion of the first phase of the work. Option 3 is the option that says at the beginning of the project execution. And the last one is at the beginning of the project. Pause, answer, and play. The right answer for this question is at the beginning of the project. Once you're creating your project management plan and you're creating, you have to create a project artifact that is also the lessons learned register, which helps you define how you want to describe the issues and how you want to provide solutions for the issues in a particular document. So the lessons learned register is created at the beginning of the project. Question 5. Who is the ultimate, question 5 says, who is ultimately responsible for transferring knowledge learned during the project? Is it 1, the sponsor? Is it 2, the project manager? Is it C, the work package owners? Is it B, all stakeholders? So the person ultimately responsible for transferring knowledge throughout the projects is the project manager. Is between the link between the project stakeholders and the project team. So he's responsible for transfer of knowledge coming from stakeholders to the project team, and also transfer of knowledge from the activities of the project to the stakeholder. So he acts as the middleman. So that's the final answer, the final question and the final answer for this module. Thank you for listening. My name is Khalid, and hopefully we've been able to actually achieve a lot of learning during this module. The last slide, we're going to just talk about the learning goals. The learning goals you need to talk about here are to assess and manage risk, to execute the project with urgency required to deliver business value. So we've talked about assessing and managing risk in the first topic. We've talked about the need for urgency in terms of relating that urgency to delivering business value. We've talked about communications and how to manage communication across your project and across your stakeholders. We've talked about engaging stakeholders in terms of understanding what they require, what are their requirements, what are their end deliverables, what are the nature, what are the impacts of the stakeholders across your projects, and how best is it to engage them. We've also talked about projects, creating project artifacts, which are living documents that needs to be updated progressively throughout the project and are very important in managing the activities of the project. We've also talked about managing project change through your change management process and other strategy to ensure that all changes go through the right channels and stakeholders are communicated with, approvals are received, and the changes impact are documented. And also you understand the resolution of what the new condition of your project in terms of how your project is faring after the change has been implemented or rejected, and also who is responsible to track that project. Then we talked about attacking issues with optimal action to achieve project success. We define issues and the reason why we need to propose workarounds for issues and how to actually have them documented throughout the project lifecycle. We've also, one of the learning goals should be for you to confirm the right approach for knowledge transfer during your project between your team and the stakeholders involved. So thank you for listening again. I hope at this end of the module, all those lessons just talked about have been learned thoroughly and have been really digested. So I would like to ask you the following questions as reflective question as we draw the curtain to this video. The first question would be, what aspect of executing the project plan have you found to be most challenging as a project manager, and why? Just about the aspect of executing the project plan that you found most challenging, and why? Question 2 is, what tools will you use to effectively execute projects in the future? Based on the number of tools discussed in these modules and previous modules, what tools will you use to effectively execute your projects in the future? Based on the predictive environment and also the adaptive environment. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.